Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the only podcast that's still running 2 out because our third is just off travelling. And apparently, Charlie joining me on the brown couch. I'm remote. You're in the studio. Danny's a little bit crook after his fledgling career over in, he was in Asia somewhere. I don't want to say, just in case he doesn't want to let it out.
Just in case he's conducting any espionage over there that we don't want to get him in trouble for. But yeah,
Yes.
Well, do you know what? He's come back from a Southeast Asian country and he's got what he's described as a serious flu. I started to get triggered back to 2019, 2020. So hopefully he hasn't been in any wet markets wherever he's been. And hopefully we won't have to shut down the whole damn league. Thanks to Danny bringing unknown viruses back. But yeah,
no bats that he's been hanging around with.
As a rule, God, they'd have to be delicious to be worth the risk, wouldn't they? But
just as a general guide, let's just not hang around them. I like it.
Don't eat bats,
mate. Don't. We've got some. I don't know how you got people talking about last week. We had some mad props from last week. We were a lot of huge likers of last week's episode, mate. We really stood up our game.
Do you think that was the absence of Danny, or it was our work together that got that good response?
Let's go with the absence of Danny, because I know he'll be listening to this podcast. So really, he's going to have to step up his game. We're still in contract talks. It's not actually over. So this whole trade period is still up in the air for us. Maybe there's a spot for somebody else to come in.
That's right. Maybe, we're not sure if we're just going to hang on to our picks, or do we trade up and try and
bring Mendoza into the building?
Well, yeah, no, I was just sort of thinking from the the NFL podcasting world. Are we going to try and trade a Dan Orlovsky, to help our ailing franchise reboot or something like that? We'll see.
I don't think we're quite the Raiders yet.
No, I don't think we're quite that desperate. Yeah,
nah.
Romo. Actually, do you know Romo hasn't signed for next year? That's a little bit of trade talk. He's yet to sign his contract for next year. I think he'll be back, but who knows? Maybe we could pick up Romo.
I'll throw it out there and see how we go. Let's speak of people getting picked up. Carson Wentz back to the Vikings, and I'm not surprised by this. But Charles, I put to you, what does this mean for either JJ McCarthy or Kyler Murray? We're obviously presuming Kyler Murray is going to be hanging around, considering they've just brought him into the building. Are they going to go in with 3, or does this mean a little bit of trouble for JJ?
That would be, it would be a big shock. And you sort of think they can't really get any value for JJ if they're going to shift him at this stage.
No.
So
None.
That you would think they'd rather hang on to him and have him play some football so they can at least get a pick for him. But because at this stage, I don't think you'd be inclined to take any risk on him, even if you were the Jets. But I think it may be that they do want a bit of maturity in that room. Maybe they want some experience. Maybe it could be that they're just hedging. They're not obviously not sure what they can get out of JJ. Kyler Murray, you'd think, would be competing for a starting job, but maybe as a backup. They're just making sure that they're secure, because they have been having trouble at that quarterback position since Cousins left. But you can't imagine he's competing for a starting job.
No,
or maybe he doesn't know that yet.
He's definitely rolled into the backup, and he's been a backup for quite a few years now. So I think he's happy in that kind of role and being that mature senior figure in the room, like you said. But I don't think this is a Carson Wentz story. He was there last year. They've brought him back. JJ McCarthy, I don't know. I can't see them going in. They have had injuries, like you said, in the past few years, and kind of had to reach deep into their bag when they were. I think they played JJ when he was injured once last year, just because they weren't. They were running a little bit too short, but I just can't see this hit going well for him. Why bring Kyler Murray in if you're not? If you're just going to play him just to get some draft picks down the line, then I don't feel like they're in that stage they've still got some elite wide receivers. They want to be competing. So I don't know if you're hanging on to JJ just to get draft picks down the line. Like, I just feel like this is a real bad spot for him at the moment.
Yeah, big concerns. But also there may be something. Kyler Murray has played some good football, but not great football. He's extremely talented, but also lacking maturity and to a certain degree lacking development. He hasn't really grown, and I'm not just talking vertically. He hasn't really grown as a quarterback much in the last few years. So I do think that there's a way that maybe it's not just bad news for JJ, maybe a little bit. It is about having some maturity to help Kyler maybe reach his potential for them.
All right, put your GM hat on. Who are you at this point? From what we know, who's starting week 1?
Kyler Murray. I don't think there's much choice about it. You could run the Wildcat with Kyler and probably have a chance week 1. I think it's just quite obvious. He's got time on the field. He has played good enough football to make an impact at this stage, and there's no reason why you'd think JJ can do it yet. But also, even if JJ has the best training camp of all time, why would you feel confident going into the season? It's too dicey. He needs time to sit there behind a starting QB and learn the game more. Simple as that.
Well, then is he? Well, then the other question is he the second? Who's the backup then? I feel like he's either 1 or 3. You're going in with Carson Wentz, so I reckon if he's not starting, he's not on the active roster.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what? That might be right. Either way, the JJ McCarthy commitment from the Vikings is looking worse and worse as time goes on. I know that's not the hottest take in football, but if that's the situation they've got to, they are in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, Sam Darnold's definitely turned around and said that is the hottest take in football right now. That they went the wrong way with that one for sure. Yeah, it's just a very interesting one, and I'm thinking JJ might go down the path of kind of being a one and done kind of quarterback. So we will see. It's very interesting in the Vikings camp, but we're going early. I don't hate going early with a few of these things, but we're just saying JJ's done. Expectations from you, and this is me putting this in is a little bit of juice just because I know you and the Dolphins fans have a little bit of a rivalry going on at the moment. Obviously, the AFC East has been a rivalry for quite a while. The Dolphins are selling the house. And what does that mean? What kind of expectations do we have for Malik Willis, who they've brought in? Everyone's gone, great little pickup there. They've signed him, 3 years, $20 million a year or something like that. But then they've gone and left him with pretty much Archain as his only weapon after Waddle's been sent off to the Broncos. What kind of expectations do we have for this team next year?
You got to feel sorry. It's hashtag pray for Malik and hashtag pray for Achan, because they're the ones they're stuck there now. I mean, you have to look at Miami's situation. Is that they have so much dead cap that they have to deal with this year. They've got no room in the salary cap.
170 million.
170 million in dead cap, which is absurd. And given that's the case, it's almost like they can't afford to pay anyone with a contract. They could pick a handful of players that they keep. They let Chubb walk. Chubb's now at the Bills on the D line there, and I understand their situation. So first off, what are your expectations for Malik Willis? Well, I think everyone's going to forgive him for however it goes this year for a start, because he showed he can win at Green Bay in competitive situations. And now he's gone to Miami, and not a single person is looking at that roster going, well, Malik's got everything he needs to succeed. It's just not the case. It's absurd. Credit to Miami for taking their medicine, for not kicking the can down the road and just getting themselves into more and more cap held, to sort of go, we're just going to eat shit so badly this year and then let's rebuild. It looks like it's a proper rebuild, but at least they have a starting quarterback. They've got this dual threat running back that is an absolute weapon, would be the main offensive weapon in most teams in the league. He's an incredible running back, and you can understand why Miami don't want to let him go, although they could definitely have got a lot of value for him. So, look, I don't think I can't be that critical of Miami other than poor Malik Willis. I can understand them wanting Malik Willis and thinking they can build a franchise around him and not wanting to go somewhere else. But surely a restructure of Waddle. We don't know if Waddle was like, I'm out of here, man. I played second fiddle to Tyreek for all of these years. I just want an opportunity to excel. And, he might find that in Denver. He's wide receiver 1 straight away in Denver. And it's good news for Denver. But what I will say is this. I went back and had a look. My one question over Waddle was, how much production does he get when he's actually wide receiver 1 and not, 1B to Tyreek Hill? And with Tyreek out injured last year, his production was actually pretty good. I think he had a 120-yard game. He had a 95, an 89, 100, he did produce. He got some touchdowns. What was interesting, though, was that offense still ran through Devon Achane last year. He was still the preferred option. I still think he was the preferred receiving option to Jalen Waddle. Every target was going to Devon Achane. So I think there's an opportunity for him to be a wide receiver 1 and excel, and he can do a really good job. I know the Bills tried to get him at the trade deadline last year and came very close. There was no way the Dolphins were going to give Waddle to the Bills in the same division this time around.
In the same division, yeah.
But I think it's promising. It's promising for Waddle, but it's going to be tough sledding. And my heart does actually go out to the Finns fans. One of the reasons Finns fans don't like me is I was honest from the start with them about Tua Tagovailoa. Even season 1, I didn't think he was right, and I was correct about that. But I'm not the only person who was critical of Tua, and just his durability, but also his skill set, and I found him very, very limited. So they've had a tough run with that. They finally get a quarterback that's got some juice, and now they're going to watch him get pounded in all likelihood. He's going to get pounded. All senses of the word. I hope he survives.
And Achane, it could be selling hope. Excuse me, selling hope that in 12 months' time the dead cap will be a hell of a lot less. We'll be able to bring some weapons in. So they're kind of selling hope for the next 12 months, but Achane could be dead in 12 months' time. The way he's going to be pounded, and you're right about Waddle being. He was productive last year, but I think this is a good thing for Denver. And like you said, that's the other side of this coin, that how good Denver's going to be feeling now, having Waddle in there. He had those kind of numbers, and this is just throwing out a stat which I saw like 4 weeks ago off pure memory, so I could be wrong. Please at me if I am. Didn't Tua have something like the most passes before the line of scrimmage the entire season? Like, it was something... His average pass yards to completion were like -3 behind the line of scrimmage, or some ridiculous stat like that, which is just passing it to HN and letting him run kind of thing. Like,
constant
he had some
screen game.
Ridiculous. And that's why it leads to say, like you said, that HN was wide receiver 1 because he was just getting the ball 9 out of 10 plays. So the fact that Waddle was able to have those kind of numbers with a game that was averaging -3 on the passing, like, Denver's got to be stoked.
Denver's got to be stoked. And also, I mean, that's a nice looking wide receiver room now. They've got some real experience, but experience that can still hurt you in a game. And you've got players like Mims, who are great on special teams, real gadget players, but are deep threats as well. Great set of hands. That Denver wide receiver room is looking good. And I think I will say this. We're going to find out a lot about Denver this season, because this is the season where they finished so strong. They had a great season, so their draft picks are lower. They've played against the best and been found wanting. And it's going to be interesting to see how much a Waddle fixes it. How good is Bo Nix? Like he's a good, like he's an outstanding quarterback. He's arguably a franchise quarterback. But you would argue that he's not a Drake May. And we'll see how he comes back from his injury and how the Broncos can put that offense together. But once again, it was their defense that kept them in it last year. Or their defense was really their the foundation last year. And as long as that defense stays sound, although they've lost their DC, so that's going to be interesting to see as well. Test year for the Broncos.
Yeah, well, it's been another season under Peyton as well, and I do think it was they gave up their first round pick this year, which I think was pick 34 Waddle. So they're going, well, we're going to give up pick 30, which realistically pick 30 is still the kind of throw in the ocean. It could be good, it could be really bad. You're getting in a player that you know is good. So I like that trade. To pick 30 for a genuine wide receiver one is there was more in it. I think they traded 6 and 7 rounders, but it's pick 30 for him, which I like. That's a great pickup for them. I think.
I think it was. I think that great value for them because you've got he's a proven commodity.
Yeah, and they're in the win now window as well. So
they are absolutely. But you'd have to say, and you make a really good point because our teams, the Packers and the Bills, we've lived through this. That back end of the first round may as well be a second round.
Yeah.
It is not, you are past the 15 or 16 guaranteed superstar. Something would have to go horribly wrong for them not to have breakout seasons and be up for awards in their first year. It is very much how good is your scouting team? How ready is this person for the challenge of the NFL? And it can go very, very poorly, a pick at that level. And even if it's not poorly, it can be middling. It can be not what you want out of a first round pick.
Especially if it's a wide receiver type one as well. Like if you're getting to pick 30,
that's right.
Wide receiver is what you need. The top 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 are already gone. So you're into that middle pack, like you're saying.
If you get to 30 and you're trying to get a wide receiver, you're on the phone to the Eagles trying to make that trade for AJ Brown before you put your pick in.
Yep. Great little segue. They do have a pickup, which I like. It's talking about the Eagles' depth. So they've signed Hollywood Brown, and they've signed, I just like this. I had to bring it up. Big Red, Andy Dalton into the building. He's good for any franchise. I think he's good for I actually think he'll come in and be good for Jalen Hurts, just an older head to, over the last few years. Again, I think you were a pretty big one. And even Danny's come out and said, I don't think he's developed as much as what we hoped and what we expect from someone who's been to 2 Super Bowls and won one. Like, I don't know. We still just want a little bit more from him. And I think Big Red backing him up will be good for Jalen Hurts. But the one I really want to talk about, Hollywood Brown coming into the building. Again, maybe not a wide receiver 1 in most places, but definitely a great wide receiver 2 or 3. But he's going to take reps. He's got good hands and another target for Jalen and Big Red if he ever gets in the game to target. Everyone's saying this is great for AJ Brown, but does this not make him more upset that he's losing more reps?
Yeah, I don't think it is good news for AJ Brown. Because they never really resolved that issue. There were games where AJ Brown got targeted well, and also all the talk out of Philly it's all about the Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith. Like it's all about him and how he is going to break out and how when he's officially wide receiver 1, just how much you're going to get out of him. And there is a question there. You would say that having AJ Brown on the field has been the best thing for Devontae Smith, like his ability to just make big chunk plays over and over because they're worried about AJ Brown has been really good. How does he survive without that? Look, it's a good pickup for Philly. Great to have in the room. Great depth at receiver, Hollywood Brown. Not the player he was 2 or 3 years ago, but still, a definite someone you have to worry about if you're a defense. But I think all of it points to, and I said it, my long-term burger bet being that Sean McDermott will be coaching the Philadelphia Eagles next season. I think there is a question just over, can this offense actually come together again? Like you're hoping that Saquon Barkley has a better season, which would mean you'd hope that their offensive line has a better season, particularly early on. But I think there's massive questions there. And Andy Dalton, he's going to have to do some serious mentoring to get that offense working.
But don't forget, they brought in, was it a new OC that's he watched the tape and he knows how to fix everything. Don't forget that.
Well, everyone says that in their job interview, don't they?
But he knows. Danny was very adamant that this guy knows. I can't even remember who it is. That he knows how to fix everything and it's all good. They're going to work it out. You say there is a lot of questions. I think the biggest question is that there's been no resolution as far as we know that AJ Brown is happy. So I still just think there is a little bit of juice there that he's still not happy. He's not going to get. I should have known the stats before I started, but I can't see him getting 100, 120 catches this season. Like he's going to be down again. So I just think it leads for.
I don't know
if he's not gone this time, he's gone this time next year. Yeah,
he's not quite Brendan Ayuk unhappy, but if it's another season like this, I think he will be Brendan Ayuk unhappy.
Yes.
Like I think there are a lot of outcomes far more likely than him playing for the Eagles. The big one that everyone is still talking about is a move to the Patriots. There's still a lot of talk about it. Great history with Vrabel as a head coach. It would make a lot of sense to do that, and it's the kind of target, with Diggs moving on, it's the kind of veteran target that they could do with it at the Pats, but we'll see. I still think it's unlikely AJ plays for the Eagles.
Yeah. This year or next year? You're thinking this year?
This year. I still think he's traded, but like he could be a post-June 1, but I think I don't think he does preseason with the Eagles. I'll say that.
Wow. That is big.
That's
the Pats
that's just the mail. That's the mail I'm getting out of Philly. That's the mail I'm getting out of Philly.
Boots on the ground. We've got men everywhere.
Boots on the ground in Philly. Yeah.
Now, I want you to cast your mind back. Last story I want you to talk about. It's good to talk to you. I know Danny wouldn't remember this. So 2012. I distinctly remember this because
was he even born in 2012?
Yep. Just.
No, I'm not sure.
He was just old. He wasn't drinking. I'll tell you that for free. 2012, it was Packers Seahawks. Aaron Rodgers has led us down the field. We're up. And last 30, 40 seconds or something like that. Early, I'm pretty sure it was Russell Wilson. Early Wilson. There was a play. And it definitely wasn't a touchdown. But we had a ref waving it away. And we had a ref confirming the touchdown. I don't know how the fuck it ended up as it is. But it got confirmed. We lost the game. It was all due to backup refs. And it looks like we're going down that path again because the CBA between the refs and the NFL has not been agreed upon. And the NFL now, boots on the ground again, is saying that the NFL is looking towards backup refs already. And we're, 5 months out from the season. So it was a bad time. I don't want to go back to those kind of times.
It's a great time to be a CFL ref.
Yes. I can't even remember where they got them from. Were they NCAA refs? Where'd they come from? They park football refs?
Yeah, I don't.
Flag football, they're pretty big.
Everything's going to be pass interference if we get the flag football refs. But it's interesting. I do remember that time, and it was bad. Like there's enough controversy about refereeing with the top line refs. Like there's enough controversy. There are enough playoff games that people steadfastly believe the result was decided by bad refereeing. And that happens as it is. when you've got an even more of a scapegoat with backup refs, no one is going to be responsible for anything anymore. It's like if your team sucks and you're one of those homer fan bases, you can just blame the refs. That's the one good thing. If your team is shit, you'll be able to just blame the refs for everything rather than saying, do you know what? I don't think our roster is any good and our coach is useless. Like we still don't have a quarterback. There's plenty of excuses to go around, but it's bad for football. It's just so bad for football to not be able to do this deal. That said, I don't feel after last season that the refs are coming from the strongest bargaining position.
But I think their position, their strong position is they're not full-time. They have to be full. If we can get full-time refs, surely, and they're doing training, they're going into training camps with teams and working it out, and actually the rules that are changing, let's make sure we're down and it's not black. We'll make sure it is black and white. There's no areas of grey, and that has to be their place of strength, I guess, that they're coming from, to be like, well, you sign this CBA, we're going to be full-time, and shit, the game's only going to get better.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And it is absurd, given the importance of refereeing, given that the broadcast and the refereeing go hand in hand more than any sport in the world. Like the role of video replay and video decision-making combined with reviews of the refs on the field, it is so linked to the broadcast, which is the product that makes the money. And it is crazy that they are not full-time employees. They should be full-time employees so that you can stick them in lecture theaters during the week and go over the decisions. Like everyone should be full-time studying refereeing during the week so they make better decisions on the weekend. And you don't have situations where a catch that is definitely a catch is called an interception, or a touchdown that is definitely a touchdown is not called a touchdown. Like there were so many examples last year that if they are full-time, they can be more responsible. You can have better training of the refs and you can get better results.
I was just, I wasn't being rude looking away while you were talking. I was. But I was trying to just work out the NFL league's net worth. So there's a number going around that the total valuation is around $228 billion. And this is being looked after by part-time refs.
It's insane, isn't it?
Can you imagine
suggesting that you would
Forbes 500 company that is looked after by part-time?
Well, it's like, it's like saying, part-time oil rigs or part-time miners.
Don't talk about oil rigs at the moment. That's a very touchy subject.
But it is crazy. It's actually absurd, and it's like one of those areas that it's just such an obvious way that you could improve the game. And as the league, who are meant to protect the standard of the game at all times, it's the obvious thing to do.
Yeah, especially, and I know you don't like the fact that sports betting is a big part of it, but that's also a big part of it. The fact that there is not only $230 billion worth of teams playing, there's all these like that just comes down to the integrity of the game. Then when you're leaving it open for referees to be, I'm definitely not saying it happens, but it just leaves the chance that it could happen.
So it's interesting. I'll draw a weird comparison to the world of Australian politics. And it is this. Nice. You know how politicians get paid heaps of super? Whenever a politician retires, it's like they've got more super than any normal human being. Correct. And it makes people angry. But the main reason it is like that is that if politicians aren't worried about their retirement, and if politicians aren't worried financially, they are less likely to be bribed. They're less likely to be corrupt. If they're the defense minister, they're less likely to do dodgy deals with an arms manufacturer or whatever it is while they're in parliament. It doesn't always work. But what I'm saying is you got to pay people properly so they don't try to seek it elsewhere. Yes. And it is important to be able to say, We pay everyone well so they don't need to gamble. So we know that the result on the day is the result on the day.
And we don't want back to 104 days it lasted. It was to after week 3 of the season that year where we had backup refs, which we don't want that. So, yeah, get it done.
But also,
get it fucking done.
Great time if you're a young Aussie that you like the game, you're interested in it. You're probably working on your kicking at Pro Kick. You're trying to make your way into college that way, but you could have a great career as an NFL referee. All you have to do is want it.
Perfect way to end the show, mate. Thanks for coming on this new political podcast. I didn't know that we're heading down that track, but yes. Any given Sunday is now political.
Well, football is just politics by other means, you know.
We're just playing chess with $1 billion on the board, mate. That's all that matters.
That's always.
We will see you next week, mate. We're getting a lot closer to the draft, so everything's just getting a bit more spicy, a bit more juice. But make sure that to keep up to date, you do like and follow us on, Spotify, YouTube, all the socials as well. We're very active on the socials, and mate, it's getting exciting again just before we hit that real mid-season lull or mid-off-season lull. So let's get excited.
Yeah, and next, look, in the coming weeks before we get to the draft, we should go through the teams, even just the teams who've done really well and the teams who haven't done enough in the draft. I think that's a good. In the trade period and in free agency, and see who else is still out there that could maybe solve your team's problem. We'll have a look at that in the coming weeks.
100%. That is next week's lined up. Top 5, top 10 left pickups, best pickups. I like
Excellent.
our little.
Let's do it. That
meeting,
is next week.
Meeting.
That's next
team
week.
Meetings. We're going to fit him in somewhere, mate.
And as always, that's right. Go football.
Go football.